The Tata Group's commitment to diversity and inclusion has endured through its 150-year-old history and is enshrined in the Tata Code of Conduct and in the values of unity and understanding. They encourage and nurture all forms of diversity, respect differences, and have a very, very inclusive culture. It's been shared earlier that Malini has been working with the group, first with TCS in London and now with Tata Sons in Mumbai. So it gives me great pleasure to invite up Ms. Priyadarshini Gupta, who's the Diversity and Inclusion Head at the Tata Group, with her panelists, Ratna Prabha Sable, Rahul Pinjarkar, and Ritu Raj, to please come up for this panel, which is inclusive workplaces. And I can't think of any other company that could have taken this on as well as they have, because they've been demonstrating diversity and inclusion for 150 years, the Tata Group.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much. There have been so many inspiring stories this evening that we really have a tall order to stand up to. And I'm sure that I have two really amazing women with me over here, and they will talk about something that will inspire and actually be very engaging. So when Malini insisted that I speak, and I spoke to Dr. Alur also, I really didn't know what to speak about, and I went back to my college days where I used to be a regular at Cheshire Home and the Spastic Society in Calcutta. I studied in St. Xavier's, Calcutta, and every Saturday I spent time there. My time spent there was telling stories, so I told stories to them. So I said, okay, so we will tell a story here too, but I definitely knew the narrative had to change now. And we had to talk about something that was different. We had to talk about things that was future, that was progressive, and that was about bringing them into our world and bringing inclusion of people with different kinds of disabilities or special abilities in our workplace. I really don't think using the word, I'm very uncomfortable using the word disability, and I really don't know what to use, because I think we are disabled in many ways. I think all of us have a disability. So I really don't know what to say, but for the lack of words, I will use the word disability. So I said, let me get two people to speak who have actually changed the narrative in their workplaces and how they have actually included people from different walks of life, people with different mental and physical disabilities, to be able to come into a workplace and contribute as all of us and become a part of the organization. So I have two people over here, and I would like to introduce them first. I would like to introduce to you Ratna Prabha Sable. Ratna started her, well, I'll have to use my specs to read. Ratna, can I call you Ratna? I know you as Ratna itself, right? So Ratna started and launched her company Vividhita, which specializes into diversity hiring for corporates. She specializes in recruitment of women, the LGBTQ plus community, people with disabilities, as well as other areas. She not only works with companies in India, she also works with companies all across the world, where she places these people in jobs and gives them careers and makes them financially independent. We also have with us one of our own group companies, Trent Hypermarket, and I will call you as Star Bazaar because most people here would know Star Bazaar. Yeah, because that's how even I would, associate with them immediately. I have Ritu. Ritu Raj is currently leading the inclusion and diversity and CSR at Trent Hypermarket. Ritu has an experience of both working in the development sector and now is working in the social sector. Ritu brings with her a story where they've actually sourced and recruited a group of disabled people in the Star Bazaars, and we have a great success story that is there, and she will be sharing the same. I hand it over to Ratna first to talk about how she kind of works with these different dimensions, works with different groups of people, and makes them employable, creates the bridge between them and work. So over to you, Ratna, and after that I will invite you, Ritu.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, and wish you all a very happy International Women's Day. So quickly, I think she's given me a very, very good introduction. Having said that, I will just quickly tell you guys what we exactly do with respect to hiring candidates at various organizations that are our clients. Primarily, clients come to us only when they have a DNI agenda. Only and only when they have a DNI agenda. They don't, so the clients have to specify.
Ratna, maybe you'll say diversity and inclusion agenda so that everyone's clear about
Sorry,
what it
yes,
is.
I'm
Let's not
sorry
use
about
jargons.
I'm sorry about using the jargons. But yeah, so diversity and inclusion is the main agenda that clients have, and only then they come to us to kind of ask for candidates. When I say candidates, like Pradarshini has mentioned, we specifically hire women, we hire LGBTQ community candidates, and we hire persons with disabilities. So specifically when the clients come to us and they say, okay, these are the skills that we are looking at. Currently, I really want to throw some light on some challenges that we face, and also a few things that clients or organizations should actually be doing in order to include the persons with disabilities. Today, I think in this forum, I want to focus more on the persons with disabilities and the challenges that we are facing. Pan-India, all the MNCs, the clients that we work with, and all the clients which are Indian companies as well as MNCs, as well as some of the small and medium enterprises for that matter. Everyone comes to us with a specific agenda and with a specific skill set, and they say, okay, this is what we want, but we want persons with disabilities. Now, the challenge that I'm currently facing, okay, is that with persons with disabilities, the employability happens only and only if they are well skilled. If they are not skilled, or if they are semi-skilled, I'm not able to place them at these MNCs. So I don't know if the problem is whether the persons with disabilities are not educated, or the problem is with the clients who are not ready to compromise. Now, when I'm, talking about this particular incident here, I'm trying to, understand, maybe even from you guys as audience, where is it that, is there some lack of effort that we are putting in, or in terms of, educating the persons with disabilities, or is it that the company should open up and say that, okay, we are okay to compromise on certain things. Now, I'll give you a, very simple example. Just recently, we had a recruitment drive for persons with disabilities, where they said that, okay, they are looking at someone who already knows SAP. Okay, so SAP is primarily a software to look at payroll, look at lot of things can be actually done. It's a software that automates a lot of things, right? Now, when we were talking to the client about this particular skill, we didn't get too many candidates who knew SAP, beforehand. However, what we told the client is that, look, you tell us what is non-negotiable. Say, for example, if it's Excel, okay, advanced Excel skills, the person should know HLOOKUP, VLOOKUP, and so on and so forth. These are some basic skills that basic formulas, pivot tables, and so on and so forth, which are something that is usually known to a person who knows Excel. Okay, so they said, okay, we'll take these candidates who are Excel candidates and we will train them on SAP. So that was when the win happened. And I said, okay, if the client is also ready to compromise on a small little thing and say that, okay, we'll onboard these candidates and then we'll train them and, skill them for a particular, say SAP for in this instance, that works. That works for us as a recruitment firm. So, and by the way, so we are not an NGO. we're a profit-making organization, a small one though. It's only been about, what, 1.5 years since we're operational. And so challenges as well as wins have happened only and only because of clients being very, very accommodative when we are hiring persons with disability. So that's one bit, that I would like to, talk about. Apart from this, so when it comes to clients, they keep talking about inclusion and diversity. Some of the clients, by the way, I mean, including Tata's, I must say that they have, they have it in their DNA by now, and they've been working in this arena for a very, very long time, and they've got really good success in hiring persons with disabilities, hiring LGBT persons, all of that. Having said that, there are some clients who are just about beginning their D&I journey, diversity and inclusion journey, where they don't know what exactly has to be, the policies, all of those things are just about starting. They come back to us and they say, okay, Ratna, we are starting on our D&I journey, and we want to look at persons with disabilities, or say, let's say, we're looking at LGBT community persons. And these people, when these clients, when they come to us and ask for LGBT community persons, they don't even have the basic policies in place. Anything against sexual harassment policies, or posh policies for that matter, those things are not in place. That's when we have to step in and we have to say that, okay, look, you first, get your policies in place, you think about, all the things that can be done internally. So these mostly, so they could be startups. Startups are firms where, they are looking at employing people right, left, and center. They are, looking at employing people as much as possible. And then the policies are not as strong as, a heritage company does have, right? So this is also another perspective that, really, really matters. For both the persons with disabilities, I mean, I'm just trying to understand if, are there the persons with disabilities who are there, am I missing on a pool which is very, very highly educated, or is the fact, because so even when I go to tier 2 and tier 3 cities, the education is is at a very, very low level, and that is when I almost have tears in my eyes, because I'm saying I'm trying to do something really good, and I'm trying to see if I can place these people in a good white collar job. Why do I place them in a job which is like a blue collar job, and they don't even get paid as much? So the whole parity, the pay parity, everything goes for a toss, right? So these things are challenges currently, and yeah, we're trying to overcome. And nonetheless, all the wins that we have had have only been at those companies where the agendas are very, very clear when it comes to diversity and inclusion. Thank you very
Ratna.
much. Thank you so much.
We'll move to Ritu, and I'd like you to share the success story that we have at Star Bazaar.
So, good evening, everyone. Well, I lead the diversity and inclusion space at Star Bazaar. We are a modern food retail chain. We're based out of Mumbai, we're based out of Maharashtra, Hyderabad, Bangalore. So, our success stories. I'll just tell you a few of our best practices and how we've grown. And so our journey of diversity and inclusion, and especially assimilating persons with disability, and we like to call them specially abled at Star Bazaar. So we started about 10 years ago, and we started with a vision. We belonging to the Tata Group. We strongly believe that equality is something that we cannot compromise, and we are an equal opportunity employer. We have a vision that has been cascaded, so right from the managing director to somebody at the store, shop floor, understands and speaks the same language. We also believe that while we were creating a vision, sensitization is the key. So over the years, we've been able to develop a very customized retail specific. We belong to the retail industry. So a very customized retail module, sensitization on disability. We not only have sign language, but we also have, we talk about myth breaking. We also talk about how, managers every day can work collaboratively in teams. We've also, over the years, have been able to map the kind of roles that are best suited to disability in our organizations. And that NGO partners, our partners pan-India, play a very critical role not only in hiring. We not only hire people, but we integrate them seamlessly into the system. So it doesn't stop at bringing people in. We follow a train and hire model. So before we get somebody into the system, we identify the kind of roles, the kind of skill set. See, skills can be built on the role, but the kind of softer skills of the aspect. So we work very closely. The NGO partners help us onboarding. We also have something called quarterly post-placement feedbacks, wherein we understand what are the things that have gone right for us. What have we to improve on? So these are the things. Success stories. Well, currently 12% of our workforce comprises of persons with disability. So that's a piece that we've been able to achieve over the years with the passion and with the right kind of site and framework. So, and it's not only us, a lot of NGO partners pan-India have played a critical role in holding this agenda together. So that's what we've done. And just to share a few success stories, recently we have a cashier, we have a store in Churchgate, Star Bazaar. Please walk in. And oh, lovely, lovely to hear that.
How lovely.
So we have a cashier called Adil, and he is the hero, basically. He has repeat customers. He's recently been awarded the national winner for persons with disability by Retailers Trust. So that is one big achievement, I feel. And assimilating, and I think once people come today, when I go to the store and I'm conducting sessions on sign language, basic sign language, and my store managers just tell me, hey ma'am, we don't want these sessions. We can communicate very effectively. So over the years, we've been able to do that seamlessly. It's because we've worked together, and we've tried to understand really what works the best from both ways, because at the end of the day, we're also operating in a business module, so sustainability becomes very important for us. So we believe that persons with disability truly are a competitive advantage for us. So just to list out 3 big advantages, we have noticed over the years that attrition, in the retail industry, attrition is extremely high, turnover. So there is attrition among disabled colleagues is 1/3 less than non-disabled colleagues. So, and also there is a lot of positive rub-off that we experience when colleagues see somebody with a special ability brings in every day 100% to work. They say, why not? We can bring in 100% too. And over the years, like people said, we've been able to gather a lot of social equity. We have customers write to us that, you're doing great work. So what more than that? To be in a retail space and to get that kind of acceptance and sort of customers writing back to us, there's nothing like that. So
Thank you so much, and that was absolutely lovely to hear. So I'll actually round it off and close the session. Firstly, thank you, Ratna. Thank you, Ritu, for that lovely discussion and sharing. I'll just close with 2 things. I think what is important here is skilling of people so that they can get into jobs. And the second is sensitization, so that we are able to assimilate and sustain the integration of people with special abilities or people with disabilities into the workplace. So International Women's Day is round the corner. A very, very happy International Women's Day to everybody, and may we celebrate each other all days, all through the year. Thank you.